let's take a tour to the 2,000 surviving temples of Bagan, the ancient capital of the pagan kingdom in Burma. 2,000. And you can see the one in the background is painted gold. You can understand how that would shine in the sunlight. Beautiful. Otherworldly. It takes us back in time, doesn't it? Very intricate. Look at this. Very intricate. And they all look quite the same. Built by the kings of the pagan empire, the existing temples of Bagan have outlasted pillaging, armies, and natural disasters. This is by Steve McCamley. It almost seems like time has stopped inside this former capital of the pagan kingdom. In the present-day village of Bagan in central Myanmar, formerly Burma, ancient spires from the 12th and 13th century Buddhist temples. They still stretch skyward near the shores of the Irrawaddy River in Southeast Asia. And today, more than 2,200 temples stretch across a 26 square mile plain of Old Bagan. These include the remains of more than 10,000 religious monuments constructed during the peak of the Pagan Empire. Pagan, I don't know how you pronounce that. The sacred landscape here reflects the devotion and merit of the early Buddhists that resided in the area. And it's a wonder the ancient temples are still standing, especially since Bagan sits near the Sagai Ing Fault, a tectonically active area. An especially large quake in 1975 near the decimated 94 temples. It nearly decimated 94 temples during that quake all by itself. It was a loud roar like the sea, recalled one English archaeologist, of the massive earthquake. Then the pagodas went off one after the other. First there was a cloud of dust, and then, like water cascading down the sides, came brick, stones, and sand. At the time, the country was isolated from the rest of the world by its military dictatorship, and so the outside world was not aware of the damage until later days. Major repairs did not begin for another 20 years. Since 1995, more than 1,300 structures have been either rebuilt or massively repaired. Some preservationists have criticized the shoddy workmanship and historically inaccurate repair methods. Regardless, in 2019, Bagan recently became a UNESCO World Heritage Site, 24 years after the military government first nominated it in 1995 to be so. The temples built under pagan rule, or Pagan rule, most of the ancient temples were built between the year 1057 and 12,087 under King Anaratha, who formed the first Burmese kingdom. Anaratha also introduced his people to Theravada, the oldest extant school of Buddhism, and this became the dominant religion and the cultural catalyst for the Pagan or Pagan Empire. The Theravada Buddhist tradition of merit-making spurred rapid temple construction. Merit-making is a concept that focuses on good deeds, but also emphasizes using wealth for generosity. In other words, obviously for charity. Accumulating wealth for giving purposes became a spiritual practice. And aside from the temples, some other monuments in Bagan are called stupas or pagodas, large structures often with a relic chamber inside. Anaratha built the Shwe Zigon Pagoda, which houses a replica of an important Buddhist relic, the tooth of Buddha himself. Subsequent kings commissioned temples of their own. The next king of Bagan, Saulu, reigned in 1077 to 1084, was the son of Anawartha. He was incompetent and ultimately assassinated, and after Saulu, another son of Anawartha took the throne, Kianzita. He reigned from 1084 to 1113 and built many temples, but the most iconic of them was the Ananda Temple. Following Kianzita was King Alongzithu, whose son Narathu murdered him for the throne, and you can understand the tremendous amount of conspiracy in kingdoms, This is just one more. Narathu reigned for 3 short but chaotic years and built the largest temple in Bagan, the Dhammayangyi. Several generations later, Narathi Hapat was the last true king of Pagan, ruling over modern-day Myanmar for more than 3 decades until 1287, when the Mongols invaded this area. The fall of the Pagan kingdom began its decline in the mid-13th century as the powerful few increasingly seized dwindling resources for themselves. Leaders wanted to keep accumulating religious merit, but they'd run out of room to expand their lands. Merit-making donations kept rolling in as Buddhists looked to overcome apathy through their virtue. By now, a significant area of Upper Burma's arable land had been donated to religion for merit, and when the throne lost its essential resource, it was the beginning of the end. In 1271, Mongol ruler Kublai Khan sent his representatives to request tribute from Pagan, but Narathi Hapat refused, and Khan sent more reps out that year, but neither Narathi Hapat executed them or bandits killed them. Either way, they did not return to Kublai Khan. And this ultimately triggered the Battle of Gasangian, remembered mainly by Marco Polo's written accounts. The Battle of Gasangian was the first of 3 battles fought between the two empires. By the end of it all, the Mongols had successfully conquered the Pagan Empire, and it was the end of the end. Through the empire falling, its 250-year success is dominated over the Irrawaddy Valley. It was not in vain. It birthed the Burmese language and unified its people under Theravada Buddhism, still practiced by the vast majority of the country. Bagan's temples stand in tribute to the lost kingdom. And the temples of Bagan today, the remaining example of ancient Buddhist architecture, are still distinctive and awe-inspiring. The monuments have retained most of their original form and design, even though the building techniques and materials have not always been historically accurate. Nevertheless, the setting is breathtaking. The Bagan plain is partially covered in trees, flanked by the bend of the Irrawaddy River. Distant mountains frame the scene of hundreds of temple silhouettes rising above the tree line. Some show their age with grass and brush spurting out of their cracks, while others shine in golden gilded glory. The interiors are just as beautiful. Many contain frescoes, carvings, or magnificent statues of Buddha. It makes you wonder if the Buddhists and kings responsible for all these gorgeous monuments received whatever merits they were looking for in the afterlife. At any rate, their descendants and the rest of us are still in awe with the beauty and grandeur of these buildings. Built by the kings of the Pagan Empire, these temples have withstood plenty of pillaging armies and natural disasters. Another major earthquake hit them in 2016. Only a handful of the temples are regularly visited, but tourists are starting to catch on to their ancient beauty. Aside from a golf course, 1 paved highway, and a 200-foot watchtower, Old Bagan remains a largely undisturbed mecca of historical architecture. And this article was originally on All That Interesting, published here under Creative Commons on Collective Spark. I really enjoyed this. It's beautiful. We can't go there as things are now, but at least we can get there through this social media venue. Thank you for your support. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.